Good evening. Welcome back to the channel. How you doing? You okay?
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. You with your gin, me with my raw milk.
Mhm.
It's been a pleasure the last 12 months. So, what we're doing tonight is we're going to delve a little and tell you a little about my life story to fit in with our criminal gangster old school story. Not for a minute that I was a gangster, but I was just a little bit of a criminal when I was younger.
Bit of a rascal.
Yeah, a little bit. I have to say that it wasn't that my parents were bad parents, but we were all, the three of us, me and my two sisters, we were all out of the house by the time we were 16.
Yeah.
So we lived in Manchester, but in an area called Wythenshawe, which is, I suppose, for American viewers, it's a project. It's the biggest council estate at the time in Europe. It's massive. And I lived in a high-rise block of flats on the third floor. And I've been smoking cannabis for a while and doing mushrooms and a bit of speed while I was at school and stuff like that. But I'd never been arrested. I'd never been in trouble with the police prior to leaving home. And I actually got busted for the first time the day
Mm.
after, the day after I started selling cannabis the next day.
Really?
So I get the impression that either the guy that I was doing it for set me
Yeah.
up, and yeah, I had a 1 ounce of cannabis which I chopped up into 28 5-pound deals, and I had it
Oh,
underneath.
you don't do that.
Well, no, you had
That
to
would,
back then. You did it back then. You did.
I
And,
know, but that's the first rule, right? I was always told you keep it in a big bag. Once you start splitting it up, that's when they know you're dealing
but
it.
you're that busy. You have to, and you
You
don't
have
want people coming
no
into
time
your
to
house.
stop.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I actually had it I literally lived in one room, and at the end of the room, there was like a cupboard you opened, and it was just
Okay.
a sink and a cooker. It was very basic. And I had it in a jug underneath the sink. And 7:30 in the morning, I hear bang, bang, bang. And next to my bed, I did have four or five-pound wraps of cannabis. And I went to go to the door, and I could see he had a sledgehammer in his hand. And he went, "Don't bother running. We'll be
Okay.
coming through the door." So I let them in. And he
Yeah.
immediately told me to sit down. He saw the 5-pound deals on the side and said, "Have you got any more?" I said no.
Oh
And
no.
he was called John Broadhurst and DC Wright. They were a fucking pain in the ass. There was another guy, I don't remember his name. And they each searched all around. And I'm sitting there and I can literally see the jug under the sink with these deals wrapped in foil. And I'm thinking any minute now.
Yeah.
And they actually never found it. I would have gone to prison that day for one day's drug
Really?
dealing. Yeah, I would have back then
Oh well.
in 88. And
Yeah.
they didn't find it. And it was actually a Marilyn Monroe autobiography that stopped them from carrying on searching. And so
Yeah.
they started reading it and flicking through the pages. And
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
they took me to the station, charged me anyway with possession with intent to supply.
Yeah.
And I said no comment in my interview. And that was really the day. And it's not like glorifying it or anything like that. It was normal. And I was thinking earlier that it became just a normal way of life. Now, at the same time, there was a musical revolution within the city of Manchester of acid house music,
Yeah.
and it was very prominent in Manchester, well, in the northwest of England. So our whole week was geared towards making enough money to go to these clubs to actually buy more drugs to take and take ecstasy and acid and stuff. So everything was geared around that. And that's when you find yourself making contacts in the club and it becomes a little bit more serious and you get yourself more involved. And I have gotten myself into a few
We call
situations.
them, yeah, situations, I guess.
Yeah,
Pickles.
yeah. One bad one in particular where there's a family in Manchester called a family called the Noonans, and Damien, Dominic, and Desmond. And it was really Desmond that was got trying to crush the dealers in Wythenshawe, and he was robbing us and all that sort of stuff. And one day he pulls up outside my house with three other guys, and says to me, "Get in the car." And at first I was a little bit, because I was standing with three or four of my friends around, literally about 10 yards away. And I was thinking, yeah, fuck you, I'm not getting in your car with you.
Yeah.
And I was hesitant. And this dread, a Rasta basically from Cheetah Mill, a proper heavy gangster, Winnie Shepherd, turned up, pulled up in his car and just said, "Get in the fucking car." So
Fuck.
reluctantly, I was only, well, I was probably 1991, so I was just 18.
Mm.
And so I get in the car, and immediately I get in the car. My feet are on two shotguns, and I'm thinking, oh, for fuck's sake, here we
Fuck.
go.
Yeah.
And there's two axes. When I look over the back seat, there's two axes, and there's four crash helmets, and there's four of us. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what are they going to do? So they actually drive me to the block of flats where I used to live. And I'm thinking, oh my God, are they gonna? And we get into the lift and you go 12th floor, and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, they're gonna fucking throw me off the roof here
Yeah,
or
they're gonna
something.
throw you off the
Yeah.
roof.
So I was a little bit, obviously, a little bit panicked, and it clicks, and I went, "Are we here to see this dickhead called Kevin McGowan?" And he went, "Actually, we are, yeah." I went, "It's funny that." I went, "He owes me money," and he went, "Oh, does it?" And at that point, then the atmosphere kind of changed, and it turned out that this particular lad had blamed me and said that I told him to rob somebody when I hadn't. I'd say if I had, but I hadn't. But there was also a black kid called Martin Errol Smith who was involved that said I did it as well, but I never. So they said, "We're
Mm.
going to take you to see him. We want you to actually say this to his face." I went, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I've got no problem with that." But little did I know that they kidnapped Martin earlier in the day, and
Wow.
they took him to his house, they tied him to a chair, beat the shit out of him, and then they
Wow.
were bringing me to come and see him. And as we pull up outside his house, the police run out, and Desmond's got a 9 bar of cannabis on him, and he throws it in the back to me, and I move my hands. I'm like, I'm not touching that.
No.
And the police
Fuck.
run out. It's armed police, and they're like, get your hands up, don't move, out the car, on the floor. And I'm honest with you. I mean, I've been arrested probably twice then, but I was panicked. I was thinking, I'm well and
That's
truly.
different.
Well,
Yeah,
I just
for sure.
I thought I'm done
Yeah.
here. You know,
Yeah.
they obviously recovered the two guns that I'd had my feet on, and yeah, they took us to the police station, and I was a little bit. They were a lot older than me. They were in their late 30s. These guys.
Mm.
So
Okay.
I was way out of my depth there, and so they kept saying to me, don't worry, you're going to be fine. Just say no comment." And I did. We sat there, and I was, when they even said to me, "Your feet must have been on the guns," and I said, "No comment, no comment," and left it at that. And they charged us anyway
Mhm.
with possession of a firearm, kidnapping, um, wounding.
Did they charge you all the same? Like, did they
The-
charge you had the same charges at first as
All four of us got charged with that. So off we went to a place called CDC's where where you're held before you go to court. And we're actually the first men in 100 years to appear in Manchester magistrates with a chain handcuff, with a chain running through, with two armed
Wow.
guards. Desmond Noonan's he was a heavy, heavy gangster. I mean, suspected of up to 25 gangland murders in Manchester.
Wow.
So, he
So,
wasn't really to be messed with. When his brother Dominic, absolute fucking psychopath. I mean, they broke him out of jail in a security van
really?
to do an armed
Wow.
to do an armed robbery, and then he handed himself in and went back to prison, but did an armed robbery while he was on the out. They were just really a heavy family. You just don't mess with them.
Wow.
So we appeared in court, and as the whatever the proceedings are going on, the little dread Winston Shepherd, who I mentioned, came to my house and said, "Get in the car." He
Yeah.
burst through the door of the courts and walked up to my solicitor, and he hands him a piece of paper, and he looks at it, and he gives it to the prosecution, and they hand it to the judge, and they just say that Martin Errol-Smith has withdrawn his statement, and that a guy who was living was on holiday in Greece
Mm,
I'd claimed the two shotguns as his as being legit,
really?
and they were his license. So we were actually freed the next day. But it's
Wow.
strange. You don't miss a beat, and that's what's weird. I mean, I'm not obviously like that now. It's a long, long time ago. But you don't miss a beat. You just went, right, okay, then we're free to go, and you go right back to that lifestyle. It becomes that normal, and that's worrying.
Well, yeah. Did you deal with them again? Did you ever like run into them again or
Yeah, they actually changed up on me, and because I was so young, very rapidly I went from selling little bits to probably about 6 or 7 kilos a week, probably 1,000 ecstasy a week, 9, 10 ounces of amphetamines a week back then. And
yeah,
so they started trying to rob me and
yeah.
rob the people that I was actually purchasing from. So that kind of led me to, and I'm honest, it led me to, I went, remember I said about the £5, the £5 deals that I got caught with the
Yeah.
very first charge? For that, I actually got 240 hours community service. And I think I might have got a 6 month suspended sentence or something. So I kind of made a deal with the judge that I'd leave the area, and I actually moved to it to
Really?
I moved to out of Manchester. And I'll be honest, because I still thought to myself, well, I want to do this. I still want to do it, but I want to be a little bit smarter about it. And so it was a change of lifestyle, but them chasing after me, trying to, he's called taxing, just trying to rob me all the time. I was robbed by one of the bullers. They came to my house and carried me upstairs and took money from me and things like that. But I was a kid. I was a very young kid. So it's not anything. That was like the segment in Manchester. It's not like it doesn't feel like it feels like a natural choice, and it's difficult to say. You know, say it wasn't just me. It was me, my best friend, his best mate, and we all. It was just like a little network. We all knew each other, and it was absolutely normal. And like I say, you never really skipped a beat. You just carried
So
on like
it didn't traumatize you.
no,
You didn't think it was like you weren't scared. You weren't like, oh shit, I better smarten up or like it was just I better be a better dealer
yeah,
more.
I bet I get smarter and wiser and
Yeah,
better at this. I know there are funny stories. I remember I had a hundred ecstasy. I just got bought had a Berg house on in my pocket, and I had 1,000. Your worst fear back then was getting caught with money because you had to explain it.
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
and so and then you'd lose your money and you never get it back.
Yeah.
And we were going from my house with my mate in his car to go and put them somewhere safe. And I was like that to him, pull over, let me just get some fucking mushrooms. I'm making a curry. And he's like, what do you mean, pull over? I was like, just there's a veg shop there. Just pull over. Like, and he was only like round the corner from my house. So he stops, and the second I stepped out the car, the police have grabbed me. And I'm thinking, oh, fuck me, you fucking got me here.
Okay.
I can see that he's panicked as well because it's an impromptu meeting. So he's got hold of me and he's like, hiya, how you doing? Are you okay? And I've just thought, yeah, fuck you. And I've pushed him off me and I've ran.
Really?
Yeah, and I've ran. I was a fast runner back then. And there was three of them chasing me, and I've ran round the corner into my avenue, unzipped my jacket, got the 100E, shoved them in the bushes, run to my front door, and I'm banging on the front door, and I'm shoving this £1,000 down the sleeve of my coat, trying to give my girlfriend my coat. And they slammed me up against the wall and took us both to the police station. And they gave up searching, believe it or not, because this kid's socks were dirty and stinking, and he had heroin in his socks as well. And
Ew.
that's the
That
reason why we
that
managed to walk out. He went, "Do you want to search for socks?" And he went, "No, no, no, you're all right." And even that, I could see the thousand. I could see the roll of money in the sleeve when they had my coat, and they were looking at my coat, and they were. I thinking, any minute now, you're going to just pull the Velcro strap, and that's going to fall on the floor, and you're going to have more. You know, they went to my house and searched my house anyway. But you do have, yeah, you have moments you look back on, and you just. I always
poor
used to think,
girlfriend.
well,
Was she
yeah, I
your
get.
girlfriend for long after that?
Mm. Yeah, we were together from being what? 14 to about I was about 19 or something, 20.
Oh, mm,
So
you're
yeah,
lucky.
all through school really.
Mm,
Yeah,
that's funny.
yeah.
Wow.
It's only when I moved, I think we probably do it in segment two. It's only when I moved that I really then I started getting into like heavy like class A drugs, into selling cocaine and selling ounces of heroin and things like that. And that was a bit of a game changer. But
Yeah, for sure. I would imagine.
yeah, we'll leave that there and pick that up in part two.
Okay, we'll do that.
Thank
You're a
you for
real
your.
scoundrel, eh?
Yeah, I've been wanting to talk about this for a while, but it's a difficult subject because I'm not obviously I'm not that person anymore,
No.
and my kids have been raised to understand what it's like to be like this, to have
Yeah.
done this, but not to do it. I mean, neither of my boys smoke, drink, vape. They both go to the gym. Pat's been to university. Kane's doing really well, and it's just you keep it on an even keel, and it's good to have the knowledge that I've got.
Yeah.
Because there's no way. I always say I've said to both of them growing up, I feel sorry for you because you're never pulling the wool over my eyes. I will see you coming a million miles away. And it's just been, yeah, I wouldn't wish this on my kids. I wouldn't want them to be like that either.
No, because
So,
Kane's around the same age that you started, right? So imagine.
no, I couldn't imagine it. And I wouldn't even live, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't live in Manchester again.
No.
Not because of it, I end up in trouble. I don't think it's a good environment. If Kane was born there,
Yeah.
he'd be fine. But not coming from there, I think he struggled to actually cope with the level of shittiness that goes on there. It's just not very nice. So I'm glad I'm where I am, away from it.
Absolutely. For sure.
Well, thank you for your time, and I will speak to you very soon.
Part two.